It's good to welcome back to SPAA Dan Butler from DBA Lawyers. Dan was here last year talking about death. Death's your thing.
Yeah, Dr. Death.
Dr. Death. I got your card last year to talk about what we should do with our fund and how we should set it up, and never called. I see you again and I'm feeling terrible. What have I missed in the last 12 months that I probably should have done, quite desperately for our self-managed super fund?
Well, Andrew, what we do start on is the will and your own personal estate planning.
And we did talk about that last year.
Yeah. So look, more than 50% of the population don't have a will.
Yeah.
And those that do have a will, like probably 1/3 of that 50%, only have it up to date. So about 2/3 of 50% have an out-of-date will. So we'd like to start with your estate planning. Look at enduring powers of attorney as well, just in case something happens during your lifetime, you lose your marbles or in an accident.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Today, this morning, you had the first session that was very well attended.
Yes.
Someone actually said they were surprised at how well attended it was, given it was the first session. But it was on succession planning.
Yes.
So clearly this is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds.
Look, it is, and there's been some really great developments in this area. We've had changes noted by the Commissioner in a draft ruling in 2011. And now we're clearing up those uncertain areas. So we can now do things like auto-reversionary pensions with far more clarity. And a lot of people don't.
So what is that? What's the quick way of describing that?
Oh, an
auto-reversionary.
Yes. This is a new term by the Commissioner. And an auto-reversion is, say, if Dad dies, the pension will automatically go across to Mum.
Okay.
And there's no element of discretion. It's locked in.
Yeah.
It's locked in your documents to say, Dad dies, Mum's got the pension.
Okay.
It's like passing over that baton straight away.
And does that work with super funds as well, self-managed funds?
It does. It's large and small funds.
Yeah.
And the Commissioner came out in 2011 with a draft ruling. His ruling TR 2011/D3. And in D3, the Commissioner says that unless you've got an auto-reversion, your pension ceases on Dad's death. So Dad dies, pension ceases, pension exemption stops.
Yeah.
And then if you realise assets to pay out the death benefit, you have taxable income within the fund. On capital gains, it could be quite significant.
Okay. What do you think the understanding of succession planning is? Do you think most people have their heads around it, or?
Not really. A lot of people,
not the way they should?
The typical client is thinking, the mum and dad have it, that succession planning is quite simple. It is my will.
Yeah.
We talk to the clients on the basis that succession is all about getting the assets in the right hands at the right time.
Yeah.
So it is very simple in theory, but mum and dad end up with their own assets, joint assets, and joint assets go to the survivor. Then the self-managed super fund is outside of their estate. So this asset, being self-managed super, may have a company, and if it's got a company and a super fund, even if it doesn't have a company, this is outside of their estate. All of this wealth, and typically we're talking about an average of $500,000 per member. So it could be $1 million going pear-shaped unless we deal with this.
All right, so when you say that $1 million is going pear-shaped, it's going where?
Well, that's what it's all about. I'm talking about a hot air balloon. We go out in a hot air balloon, we have a plan, we have good gear, we have skilled instruction, we have directions where we're going. Similarly here in our life, we need this succession plan to know, start with the end in mind. Okay,
in your talk, there was a lot of discussion about trust deeds.
Yeah, well look, the trust deed is the foundation stone. That is where your power under that fund is gained. As a lawyer, I look at the trust deed being from day one. You might have varied it here and varied it there for changes in law. So for me, if I'm looking at a deed to give you advice, I need to make sure there's a firm foundation of deeds. So any variation deed is important to me to establish that's a sound deed. So if there's been 10 deeds, I need to check all of those deeds to see that all the formalities, the variations have been done properly, to see that you've got a sound foundation for things like your binding nomination.
Okay.
Because like a shaky house, if you don't have sound foundations, like a shaky house, your BDBN, lawyers just pick holes in it.
And it's becoming obviously more complicated than less complicated as SMSFs get more money and more importance.
More importance, there's more attention, and we're drilling down on things. So your deed now becomes very important. Like there's a lot of deeds that don't address death.
Okay.
And for instance, if say Dad and Mum, they're on their second relationship, and they both have the
Sticky.
500,
Yeah.
it does get sticky.
So I should call my mum and dad now, make sure they've got it sorted out, and then sort it out for my own kids as well.
Well,
A plan at least.
look, it's worthwhile. What we're trying to do is cut down risk of dispute, very costly disputes.
Okay.
And also we're trying to get that asset in the right hands at the right time.
Okay. I better get another card, Dan. Thanks very
Certainly,
much.
Andrew.
Dan Butler.